story today is about roller coasters, and roller coasters is all going to focus on force and motion. And whether you teach 3rd grade, 4th grade, or 5th grade, you can decide how much you want to talk about force and motion. Whether you just want to stick with potential and kinetic energy, the basics, or whether you want to go on into momentum, work, that kind of thing. So you know your students by now, and you can kind of tailor your lesson to fit your students. So this is Roller Coaster by Marla Frazee. All of these people are waiting in line for the roller coaster. Most of them have ridden lots of roller coasters. Some of them have only ridden on roller coasters once or twice. So how many of you have ridden lots of roller coasters? All right, look around. Those are your roller coaster aficionados, or roller coaster people that really enjoy it. How many of you have only ridden a roller coaster once or twice? Oh, not as many. How many of you have never ridden a roller coaster before? Oh, there's a few people that haven't. Ooh, okay, so we've got a good variety here. At least one of them has never ridden on a roller coaster before. Ever. And that person would be me. That roller coaster is very big and very noisy. Look at all the loop-de-loops. How many of you, that's your favorite part of the roller coaster, the loops going upside down? Ooh, not that many. Not that many. You must be tall enough to ride it. Sometimes even those that are tall enough decide they don't want to. Lots of people change their mind about riding a roller coaster at the very last minute. As you can see, this man down here is like, I am peacing out of here. Finally, it's time to get into the cars. So she's kind of a little nervous at this point, huh? Her dad saying, come on. The ride operator says, load them up, 2 to a seat. When everyone is buckled in, the operator rings the bell, then he releases the brake. The train jerks forward on the tracks. Now it's too late for anyone to change their mind. This is usually the point where if I'm on a roller coaster, I'm like, oh, let me off, let me off. Slowly, the train is pulled up the hill by a chain. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Up, 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 and then, whoosh! Most people scream. Some people can't make a sound. And one person can't even open her eyes. Look at her, she's going, If you cover your eyes, can you still feel motion though? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, I cover my eyes, you can't see me, I can't feel that. Oh, no. So whenever we're going on the roller coaster, what do you do when you move on a roller coaster? Whoa, whoa. Okay, so some of you are going, oh no. Okay, so we're going to pretend we're riding a roller coaster for the next few little slides here. Right. So, ready? The train zips. Woo. It zooms. Woo. It dips. It dives. And goes all the way around. Whee! Now the ride's over. Most of these people are dizzy. Some of them have wobbly knees. But at least one of them is ready to ride the roller coaster again. Me! And that's Roller Coaster by Marla Frazee. And did you notice that some of your kids clapped after you finished reading the story to them for this first lesson? Some of the classes did. Some of y'all have students that maybe are a little afraid to be spontaneous. And some of you have students that are a little more spontaneous because it's just the way the teacher runs the classroom. So we're going to be using a computer app an iPad app to construct your own roller coaster. So the first thing I'm going to do is put an iPad on your table. Now, when I set it on your table, I do not want you to touch it until I tell you to do so. Now, I know that you're going to want to touch it. You just almost can't help yourself. So, to keep you from touching it, I want you to rub your hands together. Keep rubbing them. Okay, now I want you to put your hands on top of your head. Now I want you to do your hands like this. There you go. Now, snap your fingers. Now wave. And wave with the other hand. All right, now all eyes on me. Here are some safety rules for using this technology. We're going to handle our technology with care. Today, I have enough iPads for all of you to have your own, but in your class, I would suggest that you do it in pairs or maybe a group of 3. So then you talk about how they need to share. We're not going to grab the iPad out of each other's hands. In fact, the best practice is to leave the iPad on the table and just touch it while it's on the table. You're not going to begin until I tell you to do so, and if you have any questions, raise your hand and patiently wait, and either I or Miss Rachel will be there to help you. So your goal is going to be to design a roller coaster that safely makes it through the ride, you don't want to crash before the end, and collects the most coins. So at this time, go ahead and you can touch your iPad. So get your iPad and wake it up. What do you need, babe? Oh, sorry. Let's just do 1, 2, 3 all eyes on me. You don't have to be online for this. There is an app. It's called RCB Travel. It's got a little picture of a roller coaster. Now, if you're going to teach this with your 3rd, 4th, or 5th graders, I would suggest you have the app ready to go so that they don't have to find it. It should be on your first page. RCB Travel. There you go. It has a little picture. I would go ahead and have the app open. Now, there is a tutorial. So if you hit play on that first screen, and you go to puzzle game, new game. And yes, we'll take you through the tutorial. No takes you straight to the game. So if you get in there and you don't want to do the tutorial, you can always just go to start over on the left-hand side. And it'll zoom you through the game. There you go. And you want to start on level 1. So I would suggest with your students, you aren't going to have a lot of time with your students because once they get started on playing the game, they're not going to want to put it down. So I would not have them go through the tutorial. You can just help them. So what I want you to do is for the next few minutes, play with the game, kind of see how it works, and talk to your partners about how you would teach this to your 3rd, 4th, or 5th graders. And it's very quiet because everybody's all focused on the game, and this is how it'll be in your classroom too.
3 perfect levels so far.
And the competition begins. 3 perfect levels so far. Nick has crashed.
Well, mine won't go up.
Are you on level 1?
I have killed nobody so far.
Oh yeah, I killed him.
You crash them down on level 1.
Very careful.
Crash. So if you get there and you've got all these crazinesses going on, we used these this past weekend. So you can always go to undo, go back to the beginning, and start it back at the first level. So you'd need to make sure that all of them are on level 1, first part of level 1, before you start teaching it to your students.
Actually shoot forward.
Everybody's just like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Okay, so what are some potential problems that you see right now?
I mean, if you're fat fingered, this is hard because you know.
If you're what now?
If you have big hands, big fingers, like I do, and it's like I can't get it to make the right lines.
Now, that may not be as much of a problem with the students that you're teaching.
Yeah.
I'm hearing some people say it's too difficult. Do you think it's too difficult because some of y'all, I mean, most of y'all are digital natives, some of y'all are digital immigrants.
I think a lot of people, it's pretty bad.
It is amazing to me how similar y'all are to the students you're going to be teaching.
Oh no.
You're similar.
Because you're going, ha ha ha, I just killed a whole bunch of people.
No. I mean, I feel bad, but it's like,
Two more.
come on, y'all. I'm tired.
Okay, so finish the run that you are on right now. I'm gonna give you about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
This is too big.
We'll work on it. We'll work on your skills.
I got through level 5.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. You should have your iPads turned face down, hands in your laps. Now, did you notice that management tool I just used there? If you don't have the kids turn the iPads face down, what are they going to continue to do?
Play.
They're going to continue to play. Because it's, you know, y'all are that generation, and especially they've grown up playing on iPhones. And they've grown up playing on iPads. So you're not going to be able just to say, hey, everybody look at here, or 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. You're going to have to make them turn it face down. Okay, so do you see that I would think 15 minutes of letting the kids progressively work on this? Problems that you see that are going to come up. Sharing is going to be a problem, so what are you going to do as a teacher?
Like set a time and like make them switch at a certain time.
If you, and I love that idea, if you set a time and they have to switch, let's say every 2 minutes, because, you know, saying you get it for 7 minutes and you can have it for 7 minutes, while you have it, Tariq's over here just, and then once you pass it on, you're like, what can I do now? Who can I bother? So maybe every 2 minutes, sharing it, have a timer. If that timer, a lot of teachers have a timer on their smart boards that you can put up. If nothing else, turn your cell phone on so you can hear the little beep 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 and say when you hear this beep. And some of you have timers in the room, like a person that is considered to be the timer. That's their job. So if you have that, use them. Nick?
Couldn't you have them use teamwork?
You could have them use teamwork. How well did teamwork work this morning with y'all? Or did every person man up for themselves?
I had a one table, when everybody got finished, they tried to help each other. Like, if one person got finished, they tried to help everyone at the table.
If you want to do that, you need to set that expectation, and that might be something that you add on this screen or on a following screen, is that you do want them to work as a team to do this. What does a team look like? So if you think you can, your kids can do that, and you know your kids. So then after this, your discussion is on potential and kinetic energy. For those of y'all that don't remember. For those of y'all that are math or that are biology and don't remember this. So potential energy, when the roller coaster is sitting at the station, potential energy. It's not moving, but it has the potential to move. When it climbs to the top of the hill, when it gets to the very top of the hill, it's not moving. It's still potential energy. When it's going down the hill and up the other side, that's kinetic energy. So whenever it's going down the hill, is the kinetic energy high or low? It's high.
Increasing.
It's increasing. And then it comes through the bottom of the hill and starts up the other side, what's happening?
It should be decreasing.
It's
because
decreasing.
gravity's resisting us.
So for these kids, you can talk about if something is speeding up its kinetic energy is increasing. If it's slowing down, its kinetic energy is decreasing. So then I have this on here.
Oh, yeah.
So at A, what's higher, potential or kinetic? Potential. At B, and kinetic energy is doing what here?
Increasing.
Increasing. What's happening here? Well, it's got potential, but it's also got kinetic, because it is moving here. But its kinetic energy is starting to decrease, and it's slowing down. And then what's it got here?
Are we saying that
Potential
it
energy.
stopped at A and D?
Technically at A,
Because it
And
could
at D?
have, if there's been resistance, it's gonna lose some of its energy and it won't, it's like whenever you swing, you let go of the pendulum and it doesn't come back as far, it's kind of the same thing, like it won't go back up as high.
now that's your decision. Do you want to introduce the idea of resistance? Are your students ready for that idea? And only you can answer that. You have observed these students, you've taught one lesson, so you know what your students might be ready to handle. And you may go, I'm not sure if my students are ready for resistance or not, but I'm gonna throw it out there and see. And if you throw it out there and the kids are like, oh yeah, like when you put the brakes on something, you're like, boom, I got it. If they have that look, then you go,
Never mind.
yeah. Well, you don't have to say never mind, you just go, yeah, it's slowing down. And you can go back to your safe zone here of potential and kinetic. So then on this picture, which one is highest, potential or kinetic?
Potential.
Potential. When it's at the top of a loop, there is a second when it's going to have higher potential than it does kinetic, because it's going to slow down enough. But look, it's fixing to really speed up. Yeah, so its potential energy is higher than its kinetic. So now, those of y'all that have an hour to spend with your students, this is where you're going to create your own. So, Miss Rachel, would you take up the iPads? Now, I will tell you, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Thank you, as Miss Rachel's picking those up. I will tell you that the iPads are available in the office every day. So if you have a little while and you come by the office, you can always get the iPad and check out RCB Travel, play with it a little more. There's also another one on there that we shared this weekend where you're driving a Jeep and you are using the potential and kinetic energy to get the Jeep through a little rough terrain. Hill climb. Yeah, we love that. But our book today was on roller coasters, so we use the roller coasters. Let's have a couple of groups here. Gang. Rachel tied these together.
Well, here.
I noticed that you tied them too. She didn't twist, she tied.
Well, it's my,
Wait a minute, can we untwist?
yeah, that was the whole point of it.
Okay. There we go.
Tracks are not a weapon.
There we go.
We had sword back with them.
Yes.
I am. Like, here's how you do it. It's so you can't move. Hold that.
Okay, just as an aside, I wouldn't share this with the kids, but this is nothing more than that insulation you put around your copper pipes to keep them from freezing. And Rachel just took a knife and cut it in half so that we have these tracks that marbles will go down. And this cost, this right here was $1.34 at the Home Depot. So for $1.34, I have 2 roller coaster tracks. So when you become teachers, look at things that you can get for almost cheap, almost free, or very, very cheap.
Alright, so we've got to decide how much is it? Force.
I have memories.
Yeah.
We'll give it another energy.
Yeah, just one.
Or if
Why don't you dress, hey, choose a partner with you here.
you just put them together.
Yeah.
You come over here, you
So,
come here.
we got,
I don't know if this is good, but.
Here, you guys.
So, we got to do something cool. Hold on to the road and not the track.
Oh, would that be better for me to come up? Is there a chair over there?
I'll put it.
Shoot it back.
We need to start off with like.
How much this is gonna take.
Good?
No.
Nope, no, not.
All right, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Thank you. When I hand out marbles in a classroom, I always have them in a container. You know those little ketchup cups, like you get it? That's what I would hand them out in. And then you have to discuss marble etiquette. That marbles are not to be just shot across the floor, and that if your marble does escape, you have to find it and bring it back. If you want to give jobs, you can have a group of 4. You could have a driver, which is the person that releases the marble. You could have an engineer, which is the person who determines the shape of the track. You could have a safety inspector, who is the person that makes sure that the marble is released from the same location every time and watches where the marble goes. And you could have a data collector that's writing down what's going on. So you could give the kids jobs if you want to. That's up to you. So you see the goal here is to create a roller coaster that gets the marble all the way to the end.
Well, that's the goal, but I'm just.
That's the goal. But I want you to experiment with different shapes so that you may just have a single drop. But then try to put a hill in the middle and see if your roller coaster will continue to work. And if you've mastered this and you've mastered a single, then you can always go for the loop.
We went straight there. Yeah,
All right?
Yeah.
real talk.
So what are you going to do first? What am I asking you to do first?
Make a-
Straight.
Just do a hill. What am I asking you to do second? Yes, something with a hill in the middle. What am I asking you to do third? The loop-de-loop. And I want you to be successful with one before you move to the next one.
I think we'll be successful with the first.
You may begin.
I hope you're successful with first. Okay.
Everybody take that. Okay, moving on now.
Okay.
Very small, so easy.
Remember